John, I believe you have
Okay.
a comment.
I do. I'm going to try to limp around. Many of you know I'm getting my hip resurfaced in a week. Hallelujah. So, funny enough, was it last Sunday? Maybe the Sunday before, I got a couple of panic calls at work, one from my sister and one from my nephew. My nephew's wife. I knew she was an alcoholic, but she was addicted to pills, they found out, and was in a really bad way. So we got her into detox at Fairview, where I went, and she agreed after that to go into a 30-day inpatient program. And I was looking at everybody's phone calls. They're saying, "Oh, this is horrible, poor this and poor that." And I'm sitting here going, "Yeah, man," because she's alive and she's in a safe place. And when I'm going to recommend she goes to a halfway house, and when she gets out, she's going to go through Code Blue, and she's on the verge of something wonderful, and she'll get to share that with her family. And I mean, when I see somebody that's been struggling and that gets into someplace safe, and and it shows willingness, that makes me excited and happy. I've got step 10 tonight. I've worked hard on steps 4 through 9. Those are the action steps. And I've begun to experience the promises that we read at these meetings, right? So one of the good things is I get to continue to experience the remarkable power of the fellowship. That's what we're doing right here, right now, right in these rooms. People coming together to share and overcome not only their addiction and dependence upon alcohol, there's great power in that, but also their addiction and dependence upon their selfishness and their self-centeredness, because our book tells us that's really what the problem is, right? Alcohol is just a symptom of that. So at this point, I want not only to maintain and protect my newfound freedom, and this is newfound freedom from alcohol, from drugs, gambling, from fear, from anger, from misery, from despair, but I also want to continue to grow, right? I want it to continue to grow, to move forward, right? Because, guys, once something on this earth stops growing, it starts to die. And that is true of the mighty redwood, right? True of the redwood. Once that redwood tree stops growing, it starts to die. The majestic lion, once that lion stops growing, it starts to die. And that's true of us. Once an adult male gets to 18 or 19, they stop growing, and guess what? We start dying. I mean, that's inevitable. And this is also true of my recovery. If my recovery stops growing, it's going to start to die, right? So why, and it's unfortunate, but why do you suppose I hear about these people and I read about them who've done the work in a book, and then they've gone through the work with a sponsor, they've recovered, they've experienced the promises, right? They've been sober maybe 10 years, and all of a sudden they go back out and they either drink, and maybe they live miserably, or maybe they die, right? Or, and this happens more than you guys can know, 10 years sober, and they put a bullet in their head. What is up? Why does that happen, right? And it happens a lot. People who sober up and jump into this new life with gusto, right? But then some of them slowly start to drift away from the practice of the principles, right? They drift away from the instructions in our book. If you want to hide money from an alcoholic, hide it in the big book. It's unfortunate, but it's true. They drift away from the practice of the principles, from the instructions of the book, and they begin to look for outside stuff to take care of an inside job. Right? So they're looking for money. I'm sober now. I got this great job. Money, houses, a new business, luxury vacations, maybe a new wife. That's going to do it. And they're doing this to treat an inside job. So unfortunately, what they have is they have a massive gaping hole, a God-sized hole in their chest, and they're treating it with outside stuff. And they're looking around and they're saying, well, I have this, I have this, I have this, I have this, and I still feel like this. And the dissonance between those two things, and they kill themselves. It's crazy, man. So the question is, we've done these steps, we've had the awakening. How can we keep this wonderful new life vibrant and growing, right? That's kind of question. We do this through the practice and teachings of our book. We do it through the practice and teaching of the 12 steps. And after step 9, right, we do it by practicing 10, 11, and 12. Thomas Jefferson, I love this quote. He was talking about the colonies, but it's true with us. He said, eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. Eternal vigilance is the price of my freedom, means I better keep my eyes open, man. So I got to continue to pray, to meditate, to inventory. How am I showing up on a daily basis, man, with people at home and at work? I got to show up here. I got to show up in these rooms. I've got to read. I've got to study. I've got to teach. And I've got to practice these principles in all my affairs. The principles are the same as the steps. And it's harder to practice these at home and at work than it is in these rooms, I'll tell you that. Well, and teaching is taking a sick and dying alcoholic through the work in our book. Right? That's what we got to do. Or at least that's what's working for me. So, I'm going to read a little bit out of the book. This thought brings us to step 10, that's right after the promises, right? Right after the promises. This thought brings us to step 10, which suggests we continue to take personal inventory and continue to set right any new mistakes as we go along. We vigorously commence this way of living as we cleaned up the past. We have entered the world of the Spirit. Okay, that means we've woken up spiritually. And the good news is when we wake up spiritually, we're no longer thirsty for alcohol, right? And for me, either for drugs or gambling. And waking up spiritually, it might be as simple. 6.5 years ago, if somebody was hurting, today if somebody's hurting, I can see it and I can try to comfort them. 6.5 years ago, not only would I not have seen it, but I wouldn't have given a damn. Right? So that's just one little thing. But we wake up spiritually. We don't become Dalai Lama, but at least we can see things. This is not an overnight matter. It should continue for our lifetime. Continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. Where did we do that? We did that in step 4. That's exactly what we did. When these crop up, our book is telling us that it's okay to be human, damn it. These things are going to crop up because we're humans. When they crop up, we ask God at once to remove them. We're asking God to remove defects. Where did we do that? 6 and 7 we did that. We discussed them with someone immediately. What? That's step 5. We did that in step 5. And make amends quickly if we've harmed anyone. That's 8 and 9. My God, we're reworking 4 through 9 on a daily basis. Then we resolutely turn our thoughts to someone we can help. Then we do step 12. Right? Love and tolerance of others is our code. That's where Code Blue came from, I'm told of. And we have ceased fighting anything or anyone, even alcohol. Now that's a miracle because I used to fight everybody and everything and alcohol. Right? That's a miracle. That's a 10-step promise. For by this time, sanity will have returned. We get our sanity back on page 84. If you go through the book and do the work, you get your sanity back on 84. Sanity will have returned. We will seldom be interested in liquor. If tempted, we recoil from it as from a hot flame. We react sanely and normally, and we'll find that this attitude has happened automatically. We will see that our new attitude toward liquor has been given us without any thought or effort on our part. It just comes. That is the miracle of it. We are not fighting it. Neither are we avoiding temptation. We feel as though we've been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. We have not even sworn off. Instead, the problem has been removed. We didn't remove it. I wonder who did. Wasn't us. Problem's been removed. It does not exist for us. We are neither cocky nor are we afraid. That is our experience. That is how we react so long as we keep in fit spiritual condition. If I'm pretty healthy and I got a good stomach, if I eat something that doesn't agree with me and I get a horrible stomach ache and maybe diarrhea, I notice that right away, man. So how do I know if I'm not in fit spiritual condition? I feel pretty good these days. I notice it when I've got fear, apprehension, anger, all of these things twisting around in here, and I can spot that right away because I'm no longer, I used to live that way, but no more, right? So I can tell. It is easy to let up on the spiritual program of action and rest on our laurels. I've done 7 Code Blues. Do I really got to do another one? Right? What's a laurel? A laurel is something wonderful that I've accomplished past tense. It says I better not rest on them. We are headed for trouble if we do, for alcohol is a subtle foe. What does subtle mean? Subtle. Oh boy. Sly, clever, devious, difficult to detect. What's a foe? A foe is a personal enemy. So you're telling me that my alcoholism is going to creep up behind me when I'm not looking and clobber me in the head? Because it's sly, devious, and difficult to detect? You bet it is. You bet it's going to creep up behind all of us. We are not cured of alcoholism. I get into arguments all the time when I say I'm a recovered alcohol. You can't recover from alcoholism, John! But the hell I can't. When I came in here, I was miserable, desperate, afraid. I couldn't stop drinking, and I wanted to kill myself. I have 100% recovered from that. I am a recovered alcoholic, and I'm happy about it. Now, what it says is we are not cured of alcoholism. What we really have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. So it's not based on our spiritual condition. Our reprieve is based on the maintenance. It's based on what we do, the actions on the outside, right? Do I treat people with dignity, kindness, and respect? Do I do the things that I'm supposed to do on a daily basis? If I don't change the oil in my truck, sooner or later it's going to stop working. So it's not based on what I feel like. It's based on what I do. It couldn't be simpler for an idiot like me. All I got to do is follow directions, and I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be just fine. Every day is a day when we must, circle must, carry the vision of God's will into all our activities. How can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. These are thoughts which must go with us constantly. We can exercise our willpower along this line all we wish. It is the proper use of the will. My willpower never worked when I tried to quit drinking, but now I get to use it for something decent because I'm aligning it with my higher power and with society. Much has already been said about receiving strength, inspiration, and direction from Him who has all knowledge and power. If we have carefully followed directions, not suggestions, so don't hide behind that one, we have begun to sense the flow of the Spirit into us. To some extent, we have become God conscious. We have begun to develop this vital sixth sense. My book tells me that God has all knowledge and power. My book tells me that God dwells within me. I guess that means that I've got all the knowledge and power to handle just about anything that can come up upon me. My good friend Eric's dying of cancer. He's got all the knowledge and power. He's handling that with poise and grace. He's walking through it with dignity, right? Because he's woken up spiritually. But this means we must go further, and that means more action. Man, we can't stop, unfortunately. Fortunately. Let's look at, the book. If you read the book, they talk about a salesman named Jim. Yeah, he's a car salesman. I love those salesmen. I'm a salesman. More about alcoholism. So let's look at a typical day for an alcoholic tile salesman. That's me, right? I went to work on Tuesday morning. I didn't make it on Monday. I'm bad about Mondays. I went to work on Tuesday morning. I stopped by to get some coffee at Caribou Coffee, first of all, about 6:15 in the morning. She got my order wrong again. That bitch, God. I'm driving to work. You cut me off, you son of a bitch, right? I get to work, and there's my boss. Oh, that son of a bitch. He's unreasonable. He's demanding. I'm going over that son of a bitch's head, and I'm going to tell him what I really think about this guy, right? Now I'm back in the warehouse. My warehouse guy, oh my God, he loaded up some of the wrong stuff for one of my customers. No matter how many times I yell at that guy, he gets it wrong, the lazy slacker. Right? Oh, hello. Oh my God, I got the worst customer in the world coming in. She's just a horrible human being. Here I am, and it's not even 9 a.m. Now, I'm running into everybody in my life, and they're all SOBs, right? What's the one thing in common in all of these? Me. I'm the thing in common, right? So, how do you think the rest of my day is going to go when I got that going on? Let's take the warehouse guy, right? He loaded up some wrong stuff back for one of my customers, and I was a little bit on edge, and this might have happened 2 weeks ago, let's say. So I went back there, and I said, I gave him a little bit of stuff, and my blood is boiling, right? Oh my God, I recognize that. I don't want to go through my day like this. What am I going to do about this? Oh, I'm going to practice step 10. I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to relax. I'm going to go over to the corner. Okay, John, who you mad at? Well, I'm mad at the warehouse guy. Okay, John, what did he do to you? Well, he didn't do anything to me, but he loaded a couple bags of the wrong grout for one of my customers. Okay, John, what part of self is affected? And this is all in my head because we do this when we do the 4-step, right? What part of self is affected? Well, my self-esteem, what we think of ourselves high or low. Well, that is affected because I'm worried that that customer is going to think that it reflects on me. That's my self-esteem. Personal relationships. Right? Our relations with other human beings, not the warehouse guy. Well, you bet it affects it. I ran across 2 people before I went into the corner. They took a look at my face and ran the other way. They saw that it affects all my personal relationships if I let it. My security instinct. Well, what the hell's that? Wanting money, property, clothing, housing, vehicles. You bet, man. That's my customer. It's affected my security instinct. That's how I make my living, by selling stuff, right? Both material and emotional. How about my ambitions in the future for the future? Social ambitions, your plans to gain acceptance, power, recognition, etc. You bet it affects that. My security ambitions, your plan to gain material wealth, to dominate or depend on others. Yeah, I want that customer coming back to me, man. Now I'm worried he's not coming back. So, oh my gosh, this little thing and my anger is affecting many different portions of myself, okay? Next I go, what, if anything, did I do to get this started? Well, you know, I went back there and he was doing about 3 things, but I loaded this on him and I said, get this done now, right? So I gave him too many things to do at the same time. Or maybe I didn't do anything. Maybe I didn't get it started. Doesn't matter. I still got this going on in here. Which character defect set this fear or anger into motion? Because I now know that I cannot get upset unless one or more of my character defects has been activated. My selfishness, you bet, man. Get my order out. That's how I get paid, man. Self-centeredness, I'm the top salesman here. You take care of me first, damn you, right? You bet. Frightened? Oh yeah, man. I'm afraid that the customer is going to be yelling at me. I'm afraid I'm back here dealing with this when I should be out there. I might miss a deal, man. You bet that fear's going on. Inconsiderate? Am I inconsiderate? Oh yeah, tell you, oh you bet. He was overwhelmed with stuff and I gave it to him anyway. Or maybe he wasn't trained properly. Or maybe he just got a call from his wife who's sick and the kids, and I don't know what's going on, right? So I do the, okay, now, God, I don't feel too good about the way I acted with him. Try to discuss this with someone quickly, and then make amends right away if I've harmed anybody. Hey, Mr. Warehouse guy, I got to tell you, man, I flew off the handle. I am sorry about that, and you know what, man? I'm not going to do that again, right? I'm not going to do it again. Even if you make a mistake, that's okay. We all make mistakes, right? So if I do this quickly, all this crap that's going on in here is gone, and maybe the rest of my day is going to be okay. Now, it doesn't matter if I owe amends or not. And real briefly, I was in a small group one time many years ago, and I gave the big spiel about how you got to work the steps to recover, and somebody right next to me, brought out a big old shiny medallion and said, I never worked a step but step 1. And I didn't say anything. I didn't accost him. I didn't do anything. But I left that meeting, and right here, and I mean, that was going on for 4 or 5 hours till I ran through these columns correctly. My immediate thought was, this guy's killing alcoholics and I'm on my high horse. But no, that wasn't it at all. He affected my self-esteem and how I looked to the other people. That's what and once I figured it out, I went through the processes and it went away. And I got to tell you guys, I have wasted all the time that I want to waste in resentment, fear, anger, worry, depression, etc. I do not have to be that way anymore, man. I like feeling good. That's one of the benefits, right? But I got to feel good to do these good actions. It's the other way around. We do the good actions and then we get to feel good. That's the way it works, man. So we got to do the maintenance thing first. If we continue to do this, we learn more and more about ourselves, more and more about other people, and more and more about God, right? This is a new dimension of living, right? Now, if I stay angry, fearful, resentful, dishonest, selfish, depressed, I must want to be that way. Because I know what to do. So I must want to be that way. And I got to tell you guys, there are times when I want to romp and stomp, and I like that comfortable feeling of superiority, right? And sometimes I want to stay afraid, because if I stay afraid or angry, then I don't have to do something I know I should do, or I can keep doing something I know I should stop, right? Now, because of my AA training, and this is AA training, that's why people go through Code Blue multiple times. You can eventually, catch yourself, you say, okay, Johnny, this isn't going to cut it. Let's take care of this, and let's take care of it now. It's action, action, and more action. So I get to align my free will, or I try to align my free will with my higher power's will to the best of my ability. If I do that, things seem to work out okay. When I fight everybody and everything, that's when things tend to go haywire. So my sponsor said you do a couple of things. You align yourself with others who are trying to grow spiritually. Keep coming to meetings. Got to keep coming to meetings and sharing. The other thing he said is you got to help others, especially alcoholic. Our book says, I forget the page, but it says, stay close to him and perform his work well, and you're going to be just fine. Now, most people who aren't alcoholics, they go to the grave and they don't know what the hell's wrong with them. They know there's something wrong with them, but they don't know what it is. In AA, we get to name it, we get to claim it, and we get to fix it. We are the luckiest people on earth. That's it.